What's up, everybody? Welcome to the High Level Husband Podcast. I'm Tommy McAllister, rolling solo today for a quick practical and tactical episode on how to win at work and win at home. This is something that I see in so many of our clients who are business owners, CEOs, professional athletes, different things like that, that have a hard time winning at both. And oftentimes the world will tell you, it's like, you got to win at one or the other. No, you absolutely can win at both. But there's a process to this. It's the same way. It's I don't want to say it's simple, but it is simple. It's just you have to be relentless with how you are uber consistent and disciplined with implementing it. So we're going to dive quickly into this. I don't need to talk everybody's ear off on every single aspect of this, but this is very, very a must with just anything. The same way you grow your business, you didn't grow it overnight, right? You didn't. To turn this around, it's going to take time to implement a process to see the fruit to come to fruition. So don't think that, you got to do it just overnight, but you can implement these overnight. So here's how you win at both. Number one, you lead with vision at home, just like you lead in your business with a vision, right? Like, you know what your business is about. You have your business core values. You know where your business is headed, what the next thing is. Are you scaling, how you're expanding, what the products are growing, what you're doing, how you're implementing all of this. But so many times people go to their marriage and it's just like they're winging it. They're like, okay, we got to do this with the kids, and like, maybe we'll hang out, maybe we won't. We're going to watch TV. And then like, what do you want for dinner? It's like all over the place, jumbled, but there's no system and processes for it. And as boring as that can sound to have system and processes in your personal life and in your marriage, it is so beneficial, because then you actually start getting results and you're uncompromisable with the order of how life's supposed to be. I'm going to break down this order real quick. I've done this plenty of times on here, but it's super important. It goes order of priorities: God, self, marriage, kids, business. That's the order. Did you hear that? Business is your least priority out of those five, right? So God first. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. That's the number one commandment that Jesus said is your number one commandment. So it's not a suggestion, it's a commandment, right? So you are number two. Only reason you're number two is because the second most important commandment says love your neighbor as yourself. Key word is as you love yourself. You can't love others if you don't really love yourself. And so how do you do that? By making God number one. And you got to make sure those priorities to keep you mentally, spiritually, and relationally on point. So then when you show up to your marriage at number three, you have a full cup. Number two of you being self is not drinking beers with the boys and playing golf. No, that's so you can show up with the full cup to your wife, and you have a full cup. She has a full cup. Both of you have full cups that overflows onto the kids. And when it goes onto the kids, overflowing onto them, they see what a successful order to life is. They'll mimic that, because what is caught is taught. By the time you get to your business, you're killing it, because everything in your life is winning. But you both, know as well as I do, if you're not winning at home, in your faith life, in your personal life, in your marriage, or your kids, work becomes an idol, work becomes stressful, and work just becomes like, you just start pouring more into that, because it's like the only area you're really trying to win at. But it's out of order, and it will never, ever fill your cup, ever. You will always keep thirsting. So what do you do to cast a vision? You cast vision for your company. Do you do the same for your marriage? A home without direction creates distance. A wife follows a man who leads with clarity. This is where it's like, you have to break this down. Like, she has to know. You just both have to be equally yoked in God. And if she's not where you are, you can control your level of putting God first. You can't control her, but the best way to do that is by you leading by example and showing that fruit to get her there, right? So by doing that, when you guys become equally yoked, it's like, this is based on biblical principles. So many husband and wives pull in different directions, right? The husband's pushing and trying to grow the business, but he doesn't get vulnerable. He's tired. He's worn out. He's working 1,000,000 hours. So he doesn't share that with the wife, but he just says, I'm bringing the paycheck. Just don't worry about it. I got it under control. Like all these stuff. He doesn't share. He's not vulnerable. She has no idea about the vision, because you don't share your feelings, your pains, your hurts, your goals, anything like that with her on a daily quality time. So what happens is she doesn't understand. So you're pulling in that direction. She's resentful because you're working 1,000,000 hours. And then what happens? You're pulling in different directions. She despises your work and you love the work. You're pulling in different directions. When you bring that together for the vision, babe, this is what we're doing in the business. It's a kingdom operating system, to where the whole purpose of this vision for our mission is business is to make X amount of finances to be able to fund the kingdom, to be able to use our leadership position to disciple our employees, And this is why. And you break down biblically for that, right? And then they see the fruits of the Spirit coming off you: love, joy, peace, patience, self-control, all of that, gentleness. She'll be able to follow, but she has to be able to understand that vision. You have to include her on it. You have to ask her thoughts on it. Diane's my number one counsel. Does she make the final decision? No, but I 100% run everything through her. She's my filter. God gives me this vision. I talk to her about all of this stuff, talking about her, getting her stuff, because sometimes the Holy Spirit guides you and could be two different ways you could go. And when I ask her, she gives me some clarity. I bring it back to God and we decide on this decision. But she's 100% a part of the process, even if she has nothing to do with the business. Diane does in certain aspects. But I always run everything through her. Your wife has to feel part of the team. Why? Because you are submitted to God, a subpart of God's mission. She is submitted to you. She is a subpart of your mission, but she'll only submit to you if she understands your vision for your marriage. And marriage isn't to just have happiness, get some sex, and raise kids. And if that's what it is, it's a losing formula. You are missing the mark if you think that marriage is just to be able to raise kids, get to retirement, have sex, have some fun, do some things like that. That's not what marriage is for. Marriage is for your holiness and not your happiness. But when you get the holiness, you'll get the happiness, and it becomes really, really special. It is so you two can come together, pull in the same direction with that much more unique abilities and talents and traits to show what is possibility in marriage, to disciple your kids and disciple others so they can show them what life is all about, hence leading more people to Christ. Your home has to have a kingdom vision. What is a mission statement? We have 4 core values for our family. We have a mission statement for our family, which is to turn believers into followers and disciples into disciple makers by living boldly, speaking boldly, and loving boldly. That's our family mission. Our kids have it memorized. We have it memorized. We have our core values memorized. We run through them a weekly meeting. Our whole family knows this. And we talk about how we're doing this, where we could do better, and where we're winning at and encouraging each other. Most families don't have that. So you have to lead your home just like you lead your business. Number 2, prioritize your time with intentionality. You schedule meetings with your clients. Do you schedule quality time with your wife? Do you schedule quality time with your kids? Busyness is not an excuse. A man in control of his time does not let his family get his leftovers. A pastor one time said this line, and it's so good. He says, "I'll never sacrifice my family on the altar of my business." Get that? Did you hear the priorities? God, self, marriage, kids. Business is last. And I'm going to tell this for the wives out there. Never sacrifice your marriage on the altar of your kids. That's not how it works either. And so we have to schedule things for this. My days look very, very similar every single day. Why? Because it produces fruit. I know when I'm in the Word. Diane knows when she's in the Word. We know when we get our quality time. We know when we have quality time for our kids. We know when we go to the gym. I know when I'm reading my personal development book. I know when I'm having my coaching calls. I have my content creation. I know when I'm podcasting. I know when I'm doing other things inside the business. I know I'm sitting in solitude with God. I know what time I'm eating from my meals. I eat the same thing every day. Every day breaks down the exact same thing. And then it goes that way because it's a systems and processes that keeps life ticking and moving and creating disciples and getting better and better and better every single day. But you do that in your business, right? It's a franchise model, right? Like let's say you own a franchise. You have to have that same thing in your home. Franchises work because they tell you exactly what to do. Your marriage, your family has to be franchised. It's just system and processes in a franchise. They just don't go, okay, here's a Chick-fil-A or here's a McDonald's or here's a Subway. Do whatever you want. Create whatever type of sandwiches you want. Change the colors. I don't care. Just do whatever you want. You just bought the Subway name. No, they tell you exactly what to do. That's what the Bible is for Christian marriages. It breaks it down to what it's supposed to do. So when you have scheduled times for your time with your wife, she feels like a priority. You get to know each other. You don't grow with God if you don't give him quality time daily. You don't grow with your wife if you don't give her quality time daily. And that is not watching TV or eating dinner with the kids or going to the baseball games with your kids. No, this is where there's no distractions, no TV, no phones, no kids, no nothing, just the two of you interacting and getting to know each other. And I promise you, after a while, it gets really, really special. Schedule that time daily. But that means you got to have the BALLS to actually get vulnerable and have tough conversations and share. I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if it's been a long day. You go and you do it. Let God take over. Let the Holy Spirit strengthen you. Connection will strengthen you. Why do you think God or Jesus went and had time with the Father? It strengthened him. Why do you think when he was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, the angels came and strengthened him? What was he doing? Connecting with the Father. Strengthened him, it said. 3, show up as the same man in both places. If you bring energy, discipline, and leadership to your work, but show up drained and passive at home, you got it backwards. You cannot give your business the best of you. God gets the best of you. Your marriage gets the next best of you. Your kids get the next best of you, and your business gets the last of you. So many men drain themselves and then give their family the rest of them, and it's the moody, tired, bitter, angry person that they get that. Well, then it's like, well, no wonder your wife ain't trying to be intimate with you, bro. You don't open up, you don't share, you don't talk about anything deep. You're tired, you're exhausted, and you don't share, and you don't get to be any fun to be around. You have to give them the best of you. God will bless that. God will bless you giving your family the best of you. You can win at work and home, but you have to bring that same energy there as in both places. That's why we have my personal core values and my family core values. They're very similar. So I show up the same at both. You have to be able to do that. That goes into the structure. You have to stop working at a time, and you have to trust that after you've put in the X amount of time, you don't stay longer. If you stay longer, guess what will happen? Now you've just sacrificed more of your time and energy for the business. It became more of a priority than your family. It just is what it is, and it's the truth. Where do you want to win at? Do you want to go to heaven? Do you want to have a great relationship with God? Do you want to bring as many souls as possible? Do you want to love yourself physically because you see yourself fit in the mirror? Do you want to know mentally that nothing affects you? Your emotions and your feelings are on point? Do you want to have an on fire marriage where you're just like, man, we killing it. We just getting better every single year? Listen to the last podcast I did with Chelsea Holm. The Ultimate Fix to Your Marriage was the name of it. Guess what? She's like, it's getting better and better and better. Like intimacy's getting better and better every year. They are married now, I think 17 or 18 years. How is that happening? Oh, guess what? They have 5 kids. Her husband's an officer in the military. She coaches women all over the world. How's that happening? Luck? No. Ain't no such thing. Make it happen. So, sorry, I love you. Number 4, build legacy, not just wealth. Your business can be replaced. Your godly wife and kids cannot. You can go ahead and get another wife. Sure. Absolutely. Guess what? Ask God if he's going to bless that. Ask God if he's going to bless that. That's why marriages don't work on the second or third 2 times. Rarely. Right? They might still just be mediocre or whatever. There's no justification for divorce outside of adultery. And even then, fight for it. Fight for it. Guess what? Before me and Di were married, I was cheating on her left and right. Here we are. Chelsea, who was on the last podcast, her husband cheated on her multiple times. Here they are. We're not perfect people, but when you turn that pain and you use it for good to get your life in order, good things happen. You have to focus on what matters the most. You know as well as I do, if you're winning that business and you're losing at home, that the money doesn't matter. You just got to get more. You got to grow your business bigger. You got to get more and more money, more and more things, more and more trips, and it never satisfies. It's cool for an instant, but it never satisfies. That's why you start drinking. That's why you start overeating. That's why you start doing other things. That's why you start watching porn, all this other stuff, because it doesn't satisfy. What if none of that mattered? Scale your relationship with God and then scale your marriage. You know how you scale your business? To scale your business, you scale your marriage. But to scale your marriage, scale yourself. 100% truth. Let your faith anchor both. Your business will have ups and downs. Your marriage will face storms. A man rooted in God is not shaken by either. If you build your identity on achievement, you'll crumble when it's tested. If you build on Christ, you'll stand firm in both. It's so true. A man rooted in God is not shaken by either. If you have biblical principles in your work and it's fully doing this just to fund the kingdom, not so you can just ball out, get to retirement, retire early, go sit on the beach, which there is no such thing as retirement. There's nothing like that in the Bible. It's let me finish the race. Disciple maker until you die. And if that scares you or sounds terrible, then I highly recommend you take a look at your faith, because that's the only thing that matters and the only thing that fills up the cup. That's a weak mindset, and that's false doctrine if you think that it's just like, hey, I'm a believer, and I'm a good person. Ooh, read the book Driven by Eternity and see if that doesn't scare you and knock you into starting to follow Christ. Guys, when we have a biblical business and we have a biblical marriage and it runs together to win at both, because your wife is just as important in those things, and God's rooted in there, God's rooted in your marriage. Guess what? Your business doesn't come before your marriage. Your wife is 100% just as much as a part of the business, because she's submitted to the mission of the business and what it's doing for the kingdom. You have to get rooted in all of this stuff together as a couple. It is beyond important. You can absolutely win at work and you can absolutely win at home together. And it becomes really, really special. I'm watching it happen time and time again. And when that happens, you are creating so many different disciples. But it's not easy, because the world's going to try to pull you back in, try to convince you of all this stuff. There's a process of how you got to do it, of what you believe, your habits, and then the people you hang out with. That's why it's so important. That's what forms you. So guys, I'm going to challenge you. You can do both. But there will be some pain. There will be some pruning. There will be some sacrifices. And you might take a dip before you start going back up. But that's okay. That is okay. I promise you, on the other side, it's worth it. John 13:7, you do not realize now what I'm doing, but later you'll understand. Become that man that can win at both. If you want help with doing that, reach out, click the link below. Let's get you booked on call with the team. Let's change your life. We got some big things coming down the pipe. Outside of that, coaching as well. God is calling some massive things on my life and the people around me. And real masculine leaders in the business space are raising up. Let's make you one. If you enjoyed this right there, please rate it 5-star. If you're on YouTube, give us a follow. We love you. Share it with another business owner who needs to hear this. Let's create more kingdom business owners. Much love. God bless you.